Hi, people, and welcome to Studio de Heffrey and wherever Brian is with a perfectly white background. Is that the tent?
Oxnard, California for
Oxnard,
two more days.
Oxnard, California in the tent.
2 more days.
What have I missed, man? I haven't been there. What have I missed? What's the good stuff? Who did all the good stuff?
What do you want to know about the good stuff? Who you got any mind you want to talk about?
Can I want to talk about lots of people.
Talk about them.
I want to talk about the defensive tackles.
Okay.
I want to talk about my guy Jalen Cropper. He's fumbled 100 times now. Is my guy? Is he off the team?
He went from being a guy that I felt like had a grasp on what was happening to his fate before the Raiders game. Some of the practices and things that he's been able to do. They're trying all these wide receivers at special teams. They're all kind of fumble farting around a little bit, not been able to. Yeah, well, I mean, Racey McMath, you're going to catch a couple of balls, and then they're going to put you as the flyer on the right side, and you're going to try and cover, and you're going to get knocked inside, and then they're going to have a big return up the sidelines, yeah. So, Cropper has brought a group of guys closer to making this football team, is what he's done.
What a jerk.
Yeah.
Is the Cooper Beebe Brock Hoffman thing over? Cooper just took the job?
You know what? It's weird how the dynamics has been, Jeff, since you and I were last together. They talk about, let's going to give him some reps, first team reps. I'm talking about Beebe. Then the next day, Hoffman's back in there. So don't know what to expect. We're going to have a practice here in a little bit, and kind of thinking that it's going to be Cooper Beebe as the center. He was I'm sure you watched the tape just like me, and there's things that he did that were very, very well that you can absolutely live with. And the question is, to me, there's no question, but to them, there might still be a question. You got this might be a Mike McCarthy having to make this call with Will McClay, Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, saying, "Hey, do we really want to?" We drafted this kid. He plays with power. We run block. We got some things going run blocking wise with him. Let's keep going. And there might might have to tell Mike Solari that, hey, enough of this. We're going to just go with the young guy. But coaches are weird that way. I've lived this. Trust me, I've lived this where you have to remind the coaches the big picture.
You shouldn't have to remind him who's better at football, right? Like when we were both out there and we were watching every practice, it seemed very comfortable. Like Brock Hoffman's going to be the center. We're not really doing. And then they let Beebe have a little look, and then they played the football games. And you tell me if you disagree with my eyeballs. Mm-hmm. Cooper Beebe's the better center already. Mm-hmm. And like in practice leading up to their first game, you could see inconsistencies in snaps. We'll see what happened to Brian. And you could see inconsistencies in what he would do after he snapped it. But in the games, he's looked great, and he's kicking ass. Brian has a link in his email, so he'll be back. What are you guys up to? This is so Jeff. This is what we do. Hey, guys, what are you up to? Why is Zeke not playing in this preseason? This is very 2019. Jason Witten, beloved player, comes back, and they just guarantee the starting position. I am retired from Zeke talk for now. I am retired from Zeke talk because I'm tired of people yelling at me, and so we're not going to do it. Brian might have forgot to plug in his laptop. That's my specialty. What'd you do? What'd you do?
That thing said StreamYard. There was a problem with StreamYard, bro. I am hardwired. I am hardwired. No. I am hardwired. The message came up.
No, okay, bro.
I've got my computer plugged in. Mm-mm. I'm hardwired.
Nope.
Okay.
You effed it up.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what I was saying is I think Cooper Beebe looks better, and there is no doubt.
Yeah, what you were saying just went black because it probably – no. I'm just okay, say what you were saying again.
I was saying I thought, as we were going through camp, it was like, okay, Hoffman's kind of functional, and he knows what he's doing, and everything looks right, and Beebe kind of looks like a guy who's got to learn some stuff. But I've watched 2 preseason games, and I'm like, oh, crap, Beebe's better than him. The end. And I feel like that should be probably seen by the team too, right?
You would hope.
Okay.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I just, like I say, you would hope that we're all watching the same games. We're all watching the same tape. It's they're their coaches and scouts and all that. I think you're absolutely right. I think there's some things with, with Beebe, the second level stuff is really, really good. The combo block stuff is good. There's a lot of positive things. Who we might think deserves to play, they might not agree. And I'm not trying to be a jerk about it, but I trust me, I've been in that room where all of a sudden coaches stand up and they're like, no, well, let's do the. Yeah, okay, it's the same thing to me. I'm going to put. This is my new argument. I'm going to probably put a pretty good corner on the street because I have C.J. Goodwin on my team. Core special teams guy. I get it. I get it. If you're like that guy at New England who's a difference maker, or you're a Bill Bates, or you're somebody that every time you go out there, who was one of the best flyers, gunners that you had last year on the punt team? It was goddamn Sam Williams.
Sometimes, yeah, but when he didn't make penalties.
Okay, but the one guy that, like, holy geez, this big son of a bitch running down the field, tackling people, making things happen.
Yeah.
You're going to cost me a roster spot because you have to have a core special teams guy. I get it. Okay. But, yeah, that guy needs to be a damn difference maker. But I'm going to lose a player because, it's the same argument that people were probably thinking about with Zeke.
I'm retired from Zeke talk. I quit. Did you know that?
No, you can't do that.
I retired.
You can't.
All people do is get mad at you for saying
it's okay.
Facts, and I don't want to have people mad at me.
People, you know what? Why are you in this business? People are going to get mad at you all the time.
You're right.
I mean,
you're right.
You're going to quit this business just because some people don't agree with you on stuff? I mean,
I'll never quit.
Yeah. But that's
all right, fine. I'll fight all of you. I hope Zeke is great. We have no evidence in the last 4 years that he's any good, and they're not even making him earn his roster spot. It's dumb.
The thing that's concerning to me is, and maybe it's a brilliance on their part, but you're not exposing him to practice. You're not exposing him to games. You're not giving us any type of ability to say, "Wow, Beebe's a better player than Brock Hoffman."
Right?
I mean, we're able to do that now. We're able to say that who's better than who, or at least in our eyes, we have no ability to say that at all about Zeke. They
except if you've watched practice and you get to tell people like, yeah, he's slow.
Yeah, there's been times where he's like with the Rams, the first Rams scrimmage, saw a couple of good runs, but I can't tell you much other than that. He doesn't really practice. I mean, he doesn't practice to the point where I'm like going, wow, that was pretty impressive. Wow, that was, they have taken away our ability to evaluate him. And you know why they did that? So we won't evaluate him.
Yeah. Ike's in the Super Chase said, shout out to Bryan for all the work you've been doing with everybody across all the YouTubes. And they appreciate the time and effort that you give for our benefit. You're a sweet man, Bryan. You hear that? Take that.
Yeah, and you were blaming me for the dang this thing shutting down.
Well, yeah, you screwed that up, and that's okay, and we forgive you for that. It was obviously a giant mistake that you made, and that's okay. Did you really yell at Bobby? I heard you got in a fight with Bobby Belt. They said you yelled at him.
Didn't yell at him.
That's what they said.
I quit. Yeah, you're making stuff up. Bobby and I had a disagreement. I hate the hot taker.
Oh, me too.
I hate the national hot taker, and I compared Bobby to the national hot taker, because he's so dug in on Trey Lance that when Trey Lance does do some positive things, but you're not willing to give Trey Lance, I mean, you could say, well, he looked better, but you're not willing to go in there and say why he looked better. The national hot taker, Shady McCoy, I'll call it the national hot taker.
Oh, yeah, he sucks.
Shady McCoy, Dave Hellman, God bless him. Dave Hellman, Dave Hellman does the work. Dave Hellman goes in there and watches tape and talks to people and evaluates, and Dave Hellman is not going to go on that TV show and just have a hot take just to have a hot take.
No, Shady came up to training camp one time and said that Tony Pollard looked great, and Tony Pollard didn't practice that day. Like, Shady McCoy does not work. He just makes stuff up and
so
says
that's
stuff.
What I'm saying. I took and it's unfair on my part that I compared Bobby's take and being dug in on Trey Lance. Trey Lance is not perfect. Don't get me. I mean, I was just on a show with Nick Harris. Nick Harris doesn't think that Trey Lance is the future quarterback here, or could be the future quarterback here. And I respect his opinion because he'll do the work. But Bobby,
you do think that's possible? You think it's still a possibility
that he'll be the future quarterback?
Yeah,
I do. I do. I think that to me, the way they gave you a small glimpse of how you can win a football game with Trey Lance.
Tell that sucker to run.
Well, it's the RPOs.
Yeah.
It's the intermediate. No, okay. The week before against the blitz, he wasn't any good. He was 7 of 8 against the blitz this past week with a touchdown. Gotten a little better there. He's not accurate. I get that, but there's him dropping back 40 times a game. That's how you lose the football game. You saw a path that if you go RPO, and he had a chance one time to hand the ball. I think you probably saw this. He had a chance to hand the ball to Freeman on an RPO. That would have been a touchdown. And he pulled it. Then the next play he handed it to him, and Freeman only got about 3 yards on the play. But there is a path that if you play a certain way with him, that you can win a game. And he was better in the red zone. See, I got on Bobby, and it was super late on a post-game show. I'm out here. It's 2 a.m. there. We're arguing about stuff. And
you're a football drunk?
It's just a long day. But
yeah.
I think that we have to – our job is to be fair with these players. It's our job. And whether they play poorly, you say they play poorly. But if they play well or do something well, you have to point that out too. But don't – and I accuse Bobby of being dug in on the player. Like he was so dug in that the guy will never play that I'm like, okay, well, I don't agree with you, but I had to point that out. That was our discussion.
I think the Raiders should have traded for him right after the game. Yeah. I think there's a chance he's better than both of their guys.
You're the 5th person that I've done a show with that said that. And you know what? Bobby said that he didn't think he was an NFL quarterback. You just said, do you feel like the Raiders could probably win a game or two with him at playing quarterback? So I'm of the impression that he has gotten better, but the accuracy is something, and maybe the accuracy will never. Hell, there were times you talked to Dan Mullen, and I'm just bringing this up. You talked to Dan Mullen about Dak Prescott. Dan Mullen will say he was a terrible practice player. Wasn't accurate, didn't you? I mean, we've watched practices with him, and the ball's gone all over the place. And you're going, okay, this guy didn't look like an NFL quarterback.
Didn't look good early in his career in practice for sure.
Now he's a $60 million guy.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, he is. Defensive tackle group.
Yeah.
I saw a quote from Jordan Phillips talking about playing 3 technique.
Plays 3 some. Yep.
So are we still in deep doo-doo at the defensive tackle spot? Like that's okay. So it's Osa and Phillips, Ozzie and what?
Yeah, what you're going to do is you're going to watch Buffalo play Dallas on tape, and you're going to see him play 1, and you're going to see him wear Broaddus' ass out, playing as a head-up 1 and playing on the shoulder. This guy's capable of playing both spots. So to me, it's going to be, he could help with the 3. Because they really don't, now that they moved Golston to the edge, they really don't have a 3. Now, we'll see what happens with everybody's favorite staff assaulter, Huggins. We'll see what happens with him.
Poor intern.
Yeah, I just kind of figure out, though, if you put a Rams polo on one of these quarterbacks, you might have a good game from Huggins. But he was better in the game. Let me tell you this. If Huggins didn't have a chance to make this team, they would have cut him after that practice.
Oh, for sure, because he's an easy one to cut, right? Like that's your little statement. Like,
they were looking for roster spots. They were looking for roster spots there, and Huggins was a guy that was capable of his roster spot was probably up for what happened. But I feel like that Phillips, you could watch him play head up against Kansas City. Even like the centers that lack. That don't handle power or quickness very well. Phillips is a guy that can give those guys problems. Kelsey, smaller guy, Philadelphia, head up, pushed him around a little bit because he couldn't handle his power, couldn't handle the quickness. Kelsey's a good center, but Broaddus couldn't handle that. He wore Broaddus out. So the fact that the guy can be a 1 or play a 3, where this team is going to be better on run defense, Jeffrey, is linebacker.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to figure out how to play a square 1 or a 3, play a square 1 or 3, attack the other linebacker in the B, and then they're going to scrape the other linebacker over the top for a tackle for a gain of 2. That's how they're going to play football, and that's how they're going to play winning football. That linebacking crew last year wasn't good enough to play run defense. Just wasn't.
Yeah.
And they've figured out now, what's the health of these guys? That's a question now you have to ask yourself. You have to worry about, okay, well, I was watching practice yesterday. Why is Clark standing over by me? Sprained knee. Why is Overshown standing by me? Oh, he's got a hip pointer. So those are things you kind of have to worry about going into the season. And then also with Kendricks, he's a little bit of an older guy. He doesn't have an injury history, but you might have to go a little long at linebacker because of that.
Who is that? Is that 55 and 57?
I think it's probably more towards Willie Harvey, 55. Yeah, probably so. But I'm watching Willie Harvey play, and the exact technique that I talked about playing run defense, the Raiders got a nice run off of was a square Rodgers, a Phil Leofau, and then a scrape over the top that didn't get it done. That was a step late. Whereas if it's Clark or Overshown or one of those guys, it's a Phil. It's a 2-yard gain.
Was that the 55 not getting him down? I'm trying to see if I'm remembering.
Yeah,
okay.
55 not. Yeah, 55 got was a tick late to the hole. But they're going to be better on run defense because of their linebackers, in my opinion.
Are you ready for my Cowboys Kool-Aid? Well, maybe it's not Kool-Aid. I'll ask you the questions to see if you have.
No, give me the Kool-Aid. I'll tell you if you're wrong or not.
I want to see if you have any Kool-Aid flowing through your veins. I say this defense will be better than it was a year ago.
I would say you're right. And I would say that just because I love the defensive coordinator. I think the secondary coach is a badass. Yeah. I think he gets it. I think his players respond to him. The pass rush is going to have to come from Micah and hopefully Tank. Hopefully they can get some pressure too from Osa inside as well. That's a little bit unnerving. The depth might not be as good as what we had with Fowler and Armstrong. And we'll see what happens with no Hankins. But I think the run defense is going to be better because of the linebackers. So, yes, I think you're right.
Okay. Next glass of Kool-Aid. I think they'll be able to run the ball better.
I would say that is true. If the improvement, I have the tight ends ranked Ferguson, Stevens, Schoonmaker.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, Stevens can't block a lick, though. That's okay?
No, you need to go back and watch that tape, Jeffrey.
Did he have a good game?
Yeah, he did.
Blocking?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, because I've watched him 500 snaps get his ass whipped.
He was much better in this game. He's improved as a blocker. The thing that he missed, the toss sweep wasn't. They had a toss the outside that he didn't adjust very well on that. But you look at some of the backside stuff he was able to do. There was a couple of times where he was able to combo with the tackles where they got some stuff done. If Schoonmaker and him are better blockers, this team will run the ball. Their combo blocks with the tackles and the guards, the center and the guards was really good, even for the backups. They did a good job of securing the down guys. You're going to have to get some guys, like I say, that hit the hole. I mean, that's the one thing that why Deuce Vaughn, I think, has gotten better, is Deuce Vaughn doesn't dance around anymore. They told him, listen, you get 3 yards if you get 3 yards and go, and we'll fight for another play. But he's done a better job of hitting the hole, or when he has to get in the hole, then maybe spinning or maybe bouncing it. But he's no longer trying to bounce everything. He's trying to attack everything. So I like the combo blocking inside. I think it'll be even better with Smith and then with Martin. But the tight ends, if they come around, see the guy that's not blocking, Spanford was supposed to be this blocker, and he's really not a blocker. That's not going the direction that thing needs to go. But Stevens, Schoonmaker, they can improve, and I think they got a little improvement in the game the other day. That will make that running game a little better.
So you just agreed that the defense will be better and they'll be able to run the ball better. So
I think they'll be I think they'll be better with Guyton is surprising me how well that he is a run blocker.
Yeah, I just so we just laid out that the Cowboys are going to be better than they were a year ago, even though they didn't even try to sign free agents. That's wild. These lucky sons of bitches.
We'll see how the schedule plays.
Yeah,
but is
CeeDee going to be here? Where is CeeDee?
This is where, and you tell me. You tell me on this one. Is CeeDee going to miss $1 million a week game checks?
My guess would be no.
That's digging in. That's really digging in. If you're going to sit out for $1 million a week, now maybe he makes it up in wanting to be a $35 million player. I think the Cowboys are betting, and this is just my opinion. This is not anybody I'm talking to or any inside or anything like that. My opinion, I don't see CeeDee Lamb missing game checks. If he does, boy, kudos to him.
Yeah.
But we've seen what's happened with guys that have turned money down. Le'Veon Bell, guys like that. So if you're turning money down or you're missing game checks, that's bad. Dallas is betting he won't do that.
You think this is the Cowboys being tired of being told that they're the
cavemen?
The cavemen? Like, okay, you can keep talking crap about us. We're not cavemen.
Yeah, I think so. I think
doing it this time.
Yeah, I know on 105.3, the fan that on our show, Dawson gave them the nickname. Gavin Dawson gave them the nickname the cavemen.
Yeah,
and when that happened, when that happened, I mean, let's not act like that they don't hear everything you and I say and others, because they do. They hear everything.
Every time Jerry walks by me, he slaps me in the back of the head and says, "Shut up."
Shut up, caveman.
Where was I going? I had two other things. I'll remember one of them in a second. I had two. Oh, can Deuce Vaughn make the team?
Yeah, this is to me.
Rico, Zeke, Lipke.
Yeah, and now how many can you carry? Can you carry?
Again, 4?
You're going to carry 4. The tight end situation makes you maybe how many they're going to go long somewhere. They are going to go long, and it's going to rob. But me personally, I question Zeke's spot, but that's me. It's not going to happen.
Right. If he was going to be potentially cut,
I would like to believe that there's somebody at Tampa or Philadelphia or Miami or Seattle that can help me there. That's my belief. If you told me it's Zeke, Dowdle, Lipke, and I get a 4th, I think Freeman is actually quicker and more explosive than what Zeke is. But we'll see if they keep Freeman. I don't know if they will, but they were really trying. The problem that happened with Deuce Vaughn in OTA's mini camps, they were throwing him. They were putting him at slot. They were using him as a receiver. They were putting him in the backfield, motioning him out. There were a lot of things they were doing with him. And then he got to camp with us when this thing started, and he got hurt, and all that went out the window. So now they're having to play catch up with the guy. So are they still committed to doing all the things that they were doing in OTAs and mini camps? That will be, if they are, then Deuce makes his team. If they're not committed to that anymore, if they say, we're going to move on from that, then I think that his roster spot's up for debate.
Boy, sometimes I need to take my ADHD medicine before we get started because I was ready and then I lost it again. Here we go. Do you think the Cowboys have a position on their roster of strength that, let's say you and I think they still need another D tackle?
Yeah.
Is there something you can trade from to go? Because the first thing that jumps into my head is I think there's 4 starting safeties on this roster, but I don't think they would move any of them.
Yeah, that's maybe the first. If I was one of another NFL team and I was evaluating the Cowboys, the first spot that I would look at here, they've got some depth at the interior offensive line.
Okay.
They've got some guys that they've got some guys that they could potentially, if they wanted to, move and probably get something for it, because everybody's looking for starting offensive line help. and Dallas might have a couple of those guys. It's not perfect, not pretty, but I've seen, and we've seen teams play with far less and win games. But Dallas has got some depth inside at offensive line. Safety is another part of the room where you would say, me personally, I love Bell. Bell is such an upgrade over what you had with Curse. Bell can actually cover. Bell tackles. Curse will do that. Bell is physical. There's a side of me that I look at Bell and I'm thinking, okay, does Wilson really need to start here? Maybe you move on from Wilson. I mean, Julius Wood played well against the Rams, and then in the game against the Raiders, I kind of felt like that maybe we were in a situation where that the Raider game, that pass they threw in the flat with the wide open back out of the backfield situation, that was a Julius Woods miss. So he's trying to learn this, that, and the other, but I feel like that might be. I don't think you could give up any depth at linebacker. I really, really don't. Maybe receiver. I don't know. You're the wide receiver whisperer.
I couldn't imagine any of those guys have value to another team. Like, I'm intrigued by Cropper.
I wonder if Cropper as a 6th for the Cowboys is a 4 for somebody else.
Honestly, I may be a psychopath, but I think if you're a team without a starting slot, I'd throw Cropper out there. I think he can play.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There are guys that might be the 5th or 6th guy that are battling for a spot that some team would look at and say, well, hell, he's better than our 4th guy, or he's better than our 5th guy, and those are the positions. I think the position of strength that you could trade from, and because to me, my fallback plan in break glass in case of emergency play would be that if something were to happen to Guyton and you didn't feel good about, it looks like Awesome Richards is getting comfortable at guard, but they will tell you if you ask them that they feel like he's a better tackle. He's played guard. He's played a lot of guard. And so they even used TJ Bass yesterday. They would do mock game, and they put him at tackle. Now, maybe they did TJ Bass that because Matt Waletzko had to play the whole game against the Raiders. In this game against the Chargers, they're thinking about, okay, how are we going to play with a rotation of guys in order so Matt Waletzko doesn't have to play the whole entire game at right tackle? So that might be something that they're trying to kind of look at right now. But my case of break glass player would be move Tyler Smith to tackle and then put in Bass, or move Beebe to guard and then put Hoffman at center. Yeah, that's my break glass moment is what that is.
It's a lot of moving, which we hate, but I think that they could probably still play pretty well.
If it's week 4 and you don't feel good about where you're at, that's your break glass moment right there.
Nicholas stopped by and he said he's at work, but he just wants to hear the hot dog bun.
No, this is a hot dog bun. I think it's a hot dog, too.
Oh, hot dog, yeah.
Keep up the great work, Bryan. You're crushing it.
Appreciate you, brother. Take care. Have a good day.
All right. Remember, all you humans, you have no idea what anyone's going through. Be cool to everybody. We love you. Be easy.